welcome to the video. We are talking about the 6th generation iPad mini. This is also the first mini iPad that I have ever owned, and I'm not gonna lie, I've been having a lot of fun using it. It does a really nice job of striking a good balance of power and portability, kind of like an iPhone, but at the same time, the screen hits that sweet spot of being just big enough that things like FaceTime and watching movies and TV shows are a lot of fun, but it's also not going to be, I'm not gonna lie, kind of tiresome to carry around throughout the course of a day like my 12.9-inch iPad Pro. Man, did that sound like a first world problem or what? Now, believe it or not, the 5th generation iPad mini came out in 2019. But for some reason, man, it feels like it's been a lot longer than that. And I feel like it's because the iPad mini really hasn't had a major hardware refresh since it was essentially introduced. When Apple first dropped the mini, it essentially was a condensed version of the regular iPad. But with this 6th generation, the iPad mini is now essentially a condensed version of the iPad Air. The physical home button is gone, and it's been replaced with even bezels all around the screen. The power button on the top of the iPad has Touch ID built in. There's support for the 2nd generation Apple Pencil. There are dual firing speakers on the top and bottom, which sound really nice. And there's also a USB-C charging port, which I am a big fan of. Also, if you want to use a keyboard with this iPad, you will have to go third party, unfortunately. Because Apple had to use one side of the iPad to house the magnets needed for the pencil, they actually had to move the volume buttons to the top of the iPad, which I kind of thought was weird at first, but one really cool thing I found in the software is that depending on how you're holding the iPad, the functionality of the volume buttons will actually change. So you won't get confused with which button is volume up and which button is volume down based on how you're holding it. I know it kind of sounds simple, but believe it or not, something like that does go overlooked on certain other products that have a hardware design like this. So I thought that was pretty sick. If there's one area where I feel like I would say the iPad mini is kind of lacking, it's probably with the screen. Now, it's not a bad quality screen by any means. It's just not going to be the brightest, the sharpest, or the highest in terms of a refresh rate. But ultimately, I feel like your impressions of the display are going to be dependent on the devices that you're already used to. For me, I'm used to the iPhone 13 Pro Max, a Galaxy Z Fold 3, and the 12.9-inch iPad Pro with M1. So I was coming from devices that had super high refresh rates, super bright, super vibrant screens. So when I switched over to the mini, I immediately noticed all those pro features were missing. But that's the thing, is that I also realized that for the majority of the people out there that are going to buy an iPad mini and use it and love it, they're probably not looking for those pro level features. So if you go into it with the right expectations, I don't think the display is going to let you down. It is a good quality display at the end of the day. And for what it's worth, I've heard of the jelly scrolling issue. I can't replicate it. I don't notice it. It seems like it just might be one of those case-by-case type of things. And I mean, at the end of the day, if you buy it and you notice it, you can always return it. I don't know. I'm just trying to help you, bro. I'm just saying. I definitely wasn't expecting to enjoy using the iPad mini as much as I did. I mean, it essentially became my go-to device whenever I'm at home. I used it to FaceTime, which is awesome, by the way, thanks to the ultra-wide camera that has center stage. I used it to send messages, browse the web, read news articles, watch movies, TV shows, YouTube videos. I essentially used it for everything. I mean, honestly, it basically replaced my brand new iPhone whenever I'm inside the house. I do want you to know that there were definitely some days that I would look up and see that I only had like 50% battery life left, and I would think to myself, 50% battery already? I feel like I really haven't done that much to drain the battery as fast as I felt like I did, but it'll still get you through a day, and honestly, you could get 7.5 to 8 hours of just straight YouTube watch time. Don't ask me how I know that. Now, if you're looking at this iPad and thinking to yourself, I could use that for so much more, you totally can. There is a lot of potential here given the size and the portability of this iPad and the power that it comes with thanks to the A15 Bionic processor, which is Apple's latest and greatest. Now, you combine that with the fact that it supports the second generation Apple Pencil, and if you're a student, you can use the iPad mini as a dedicated notepad, or if you're someone who's really creative, you can use it as a miniature canvas of some kind. The use case scenarios are definitely there for the iPad mini, and it's just a super versatile small tablet. So, is the iPad mini for you? If you are considering buying one, chances are it's because you have a specific use case scenario already in mind. If you're someone that doesn't have a special use case scenario for this particular iPad, you're probably better off exploring the rest of the options in the line as well. Maybe you'll want a more traditional iPad experience like the iPad Air, or maybe you'll want the ultimate iPad experience in the iPad Pro. Take me, for example. Do I need the iPad mini? Absolutely not. Do I want the iPad mini? 100% yes. So don't be like me. Understand your use case scenario, and if you do, then you're going to make the decision that is best for you. The iPad mini starts at $499 for 64 gigs of storage and $649 for 256 gigs of storage. Add $150 to each of those price tags if you want Wi-Fi plus 5G support. Keep in mind there is no support for a millimeter wave. And it comes in 4 colors, 2 of the new ones being Starlight and Purple. Here in the studio, and what you've seen throughout the video, has been the 64 gigabyte purple iPad mini, and I highly recommend the color. It is super dope. Either way, I hope you enjoyed the review. If you did, especially if you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Let me know what you think about the new iPad minis in the comments. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.